was going back to work that day after a long 6 month break, and I was close to work, and then she calls and sensed something happening, and uh, something was not right with him. So she said, "Come back home." So I came back home, and her dad was holding him. I think he is taking care of several children, so he kind of knows with children when they get sick and stuff. So we said, let's just take him to the hospital, and we weren't even the reason we didn't call the ambulance that day was because it was not in to us. It was not in an emergency. It was not any life threatening. So we were just taking him for a checkup. So we would have gone to the the main campus, but then as she was sitting with Kane in the back, she started seeing him change color and stuff. So I had like less than a split second to make a decision to turn left and go into the ER. And that street, I still remember there was an ambulance in front of me. I had to like wait for the ambulance to pass, and then I had to go. And then even when we got to the front desk, there were a couple of people ahead of us. It was flu season, so the ER was always full. So I was more like, I wouldn't say calm, but I was a little worried. But I've seen this many times before with him. We would take him. For me, it was just one of those normal things where we would take him to get him checked out and give him some fluids and send him back home. But then there were two people ahead of us, and I was actually waiting in line. But then her dad jumped ahead and said, "Can you please move? We need to get there more quicker." So he had requested for them to move, and that was a split-second decision that he took. So then we went, and the nurse who checks us in, she had less than 1 second to hear on the stethoscope. She heard him. She checked for him, and then I think she couldn't hear the right beat or whatever. The next word it came from her was big room. She said big room, and that kind of threw me off.
Mm-hmm.
I've been to that big room before, and the moment she said big room, I knew that something else was going on here. So the doors flung open, and within a matter of seconds to minutes, we had like 20, 30 people in that room. There were people from, we had the air ride ready. We had we had the paramedics ready. We had respiratory therapists. Everybody was there. It was within seconds they hooked them up, and everything started going. Everybody started running. It was constant rush, and till then she wasn't back. By then, I think we had called in this mean period of time. We had called a few people, and our pastor was on the way, and he was there with us at that minute. And what had happened was, his heart had stopped. He had the arrest, and they were trying to do the CPR and pumping him, and nothing would happen. I was I find grateful at times when I feel bad for Caleb and Swati. I was the one who saw him last. When he was in the last few seconds or minutes, it was a mixture of, he had this change in his eyes. It was a mixture of crying and smiling. So it was almost like he was smiling at me at the same time he was crying, like as he was leaving. I think he knew that he was leaving at that point. So, but and then I went back and sat down, and they made me sit down because they were constantly moving a lot of things back and forth. And then the doctor said, we have given them a medication to pump his heart back up. We usually epinephrine. We only give that 2 times or 3 times at the most, but we've given him 7 doses, and he's not pumping back up. The first word I said is, you can't give up. You can't say that. Give him more. You have to bring him back on. There's no way you can stop trying. That's kind of how it all played out. And I believe Swati was outside, and then they called in for the chaplain and the counselor, and there were a lot of people going on at that time. But then it took us a while. It took us a while for us all to sink in. Everything was necessary at that point. There was a reason I believe that she had to be outside and not be there for that to happen. There's one thing I said. to Swati. It was me, Swati, and her dad, and I think it said something like, "Nobody's going to, none of us or anybody, any of us are going to question each other of anything that we did." I truly believe that everything what we have done until now is what we could have done for him. There wasn't going to be. Later on, I felt like there was more so for that speaking to myself, because I didn't want to have a regret of not doing anything for him. I truly believe we've done everything possible. So not being together at that time, I don't think we even came as a question. We believed and we took it as everything had to have a reason.
I wasn't there when he breathed his last, and I I don't know if that's something I don't know if I could have seen and prayed the same, you know. And after I walked into the room, once Joseph was inside, the chaplain, the clinical counselor, they all came, "Mom, are you okay? Mom," I had no clue what had happened. And I think the moment Joseph described me at that point, the moment Canaan left those stairs, they pushed him away, you know, trying to, because they wanted to pump him, right, to do the CPR. And Joseph, for a minute, didn't understand what happened. But when, like, you know, later when you processed that through, you knew that that was it. At that point, it was it. Because I remember asking Joseph, did he feel that pain of putting that needle in his bone? Because I couldn't have seen it. I, as a mom, I struggled seeing Kenan. It took me a lot. And once they told me, "Mom, do you want to go in?" I said, "No, I don't want to go in. I can't go in right now. They're doing it." And I just kept praying. So when the team said this is all we can do, and they slowly all departed, I in my spirit had not given up. And I think, I don't know if it's a mom thing. And Joseph just sank down. And I looked at Joseph and I said, "You're not giving up right now, are you?" And he said, "It's over." And I said, "No, it's not over." And I was still believing that God can raise him. And, you know, because I had, and before that, you know, I, like when I look back at it, God was always preparing me for it, but I was never ready.